All right, next up, many of you already know our consultant, Don Schmitz, who is the president of Schmitz and Associates, and he's been with Smart Coast since we started. I can tell you he's gotten us a long way, and this is another person, if it can be done, or maybe even remotely thought not to be done, he's gonna look and see how we can make it happen. And you know me, I'm a kind of make it happen kind of a person, and so me and Don are good. He is going to give us an in-depth analysis of some of the things that's been going on, him and his team. And I think you will be very surprised and pleased, but we've been getting some movement here. So with that being said, Don, are you ready?
I am.
Thank you.
If in fact I'm unmuted, good morning, everybody. I'm looking forward to chatting about some stuff. We've been busy folks here at Smart Coast, the staff, Carla, the executive committee, the entire board's been working their fingers to the bone, and we think that we're making some forward progress here, although we're also learning that the challenges in front of us are very much still afoot in regards to those who have a different perspective than the positions that have been taken by Smart Coast California. Can we get the next slide, please? So the reason we have this LCP slide up here is we just want to show you Carlsbad and Arcata are two examples of, if you will pardon the horrible pun here, the shifting sands that we as an organization are standing on constantly. There are many local coastal program amendments in the queue with all the counties, all the cities up and down the state of California. We're trying to monitor them. We're trying to be involved at the right time, at the right place, with the right people. And it's very typical for hearings to get kicked down the road a little bit and then all of a sudden pop up, and we're scrambling to try and get the information out and make a difference. Can we get the next slide, please? So what we have had very recently is the Local Coastal Program Amendment. LCPA stands for Local Coastal Program Amendment. For Pacifica, was submitted to the California Coastal Commission. They had their initial filing letter was received. They responded. There's been a second filing letter just last week, which was submitted by the Coastal Commission, and their staff at Pacifica is working to respond to that. Half Moon Bay just last week received approval unanimously from the California Coastal Commission on Thursday. But I'm going to be talking about that one a lot, a little bit later on in the presentation, because yay team, we actually made a difference on that one. It was one of our first really direct efforts, and just very proud of everybody's efforts in that regards. County of Santa Cruz, they've submitted to the Coastal Commission, who's requested additional information analysis. That's a pending action item. That's going to be a big one, which I don't have time to go into in very great detail this morning, but there's a lot of very important aspects of the Santa Cruz Local Coastal Program Amendment. And then the County of Santa Barbara, they adopted the Coastal Resiliency LCP Amendment back in December, and it's not received coastal certification yet. Can we get the next slide? So these are priority LCPs. I'm just going to touch base on them very briefly. All of these are posted, I believe, Chris and Marta can confirm, on our webpage. This is information which is available for anybody that can check and log on. Santa Barbara's very hot. They have their draft underway. Sonoma County, Board of Supervisors scheduled in May. Morro Bay, they're having a workshop on both the Environmental Impact Report and the Local Coastal Program, which is coming up around the corner in April 27th, I believe. And Pismo Beach has a Joint Planning Commission City session scheduled for April 27th, and they're planning on finishing their Environmental Impact Report at that time. Next slide. Now, I'm not going to go over all of these. I just want to show you that we're monitoring. We try to make it available to all the membership so that they can see what's happening and what the timing is. Next slide, please. but there's obviously there's a tremendous amount of work which is going on. Next slide. And I just want to point out a basic principle here, which is hugely important, which is that SCC and the very hugely important efforts of the local GADs and Association Realtors at the local level is critical to our efforts to make a difference here. Because if the local city council, if the local board of supervisors takes a position on certain regulations, the chances of us as an organization convincing the Coastal Commission, unless of course what they've adopted at the local level is something the Coastal Commission really doesn't like, the chances of us defeating those components of the LCP are pretty much non-existent. So if we're going to get these local coastal program amendments to be more reflective of the positions that have been adopted by the board for Smart Coast California, it's real important that we weigh in early and we weigh in strongly. So last week, the Half Moon Bay LUP, because local coastal programs are broken up into two different documents, a land use plan, which is a general policies, and the LIP, which is the implementing ordinances. And the LUP originally had this critical definition of existing development being January 1st, 1977. So we glommed onto this right away. We worked, there was great work that was done by the local organizations up there in Half Moon Bay. Full court press. The city council made a decision, which they did in concert with the Coastal Commission staff, to abandon the January 1st, 1977 definition as being existing development as opposed to just existing. And this is a hill to die on all up and down the state for reasons which we can embellish upon. They took it out, and the reason they took it out was because their city council and their professional planning staff concluded that they were never going to get their land use plan adopted and in front of the Coastal Commission over the local opposition. And so that was just a phenomenal win, but we're not done yet. And I'll embellish upon that in a moment. There was also shoreline protection policies, deed restrictions, and rolling easements that we did not concur with. We went on the record being in opposition to those, but the reality is that the city council adopted that and they sent that up. I also want to let you know that it has been stated on the record that amongst other things, the city and the Coastal Commission intend to take another run at the definition of existing development, which is just crucial because you're not entitled to have a shoreline protection device or revetment, a rock revetment or a seawall unless it is existing development. So if they can take a half a century out of the equation, they're happy, we're not. Next slide, please. So this existing development definition, again, if you have a 50% remodel or you demolish a house or a business, you are not entitled to rebuild it in such a fashion that you are allowed to have a seawall, a shoreline protection device. But if you have an existing house, an existing development, you are entitled under law to have a shoreline protection device, sea level rise or otherwise. So the Coastal Commission has tried several times to get the Coastal Act amended to redefine the definition of existing development as 1977. Those failed in both instances. They did adopt it in their draft residential adaptation guidelines and then cited it as if it was law, which it is not. Fascinating to us was that at the Half Moon Bay Local Coastal Program Amendment hearing, they said, they being the Coastal Commission Senior Staff Executive Director and several commissioners, that they intend through some sort of legislative or regulatory approach or judicial approach, they intend to define for the entire state of California that the definition of existing development is before 1977. And this would have enormous impacts. And the staff at SCC and several board members are already taking this up as an important issue that we think we're going to be focusing on in the future. And I'm sure that'll be vetted with the full board shortly. Next slide, please. So the rolling easements, I just want to touch base on this briefly. We are in opposition to rolling easements. And I'm just going to ask you to take a look at 2 or 3 slides. Look at the one that says today, and you can see it says high water, mean sea level, public, private. You can see there's a house conveniently up on stilts, and then you can see a road back behind it and a utility line. So it is intimated here that what you have is a public street back behind a house. There's no place for managed retreat for this house to be demolished and built further back. And then you can see they envision as time goes on, they want to roll the easement up inland, essentially taking the private property in reflection to shoreline retreat pursuant to sea level rise. So you can see in 80 years now, pursuant to this rolling easement concept principle, the house, which today is located well back from the mean high tide line, is now on public property, which means that it needs to be demolished. The 60-year slide, it's right there. 80 years now, it's back behind. In 100 years, the house has been demolished. Of course, if it's an existing house, it would be entitled to a shoreline protection device, illustrating the point a little bit on why that is a critical fight for us to have. But the rolling easements is something that would be happening at the bureaucratic level, and all these other different components coming in regards to financing and buying out the properties. This all ties in. So Smart Coast California is not real fond of the concept of the rolling easements as they're being put forward in several of these local coastal program amendments. Next slide, please. Coastal commissioners, we're putting this up here just so you know who's who. There's the governors serve at the will of the governor. There's a vacant slot because Commissioner Eric Howe did not win re-election, so there's going to be a new commissioner placed in there. The speaker's appointments are up for reappointment. I have not done a lot of inquiries, and nor would I be making a presentation on the status of the commissioners, but we want you to know who's out there and who's in your particular area, and the staff at Smart Coast California stands ready to let you know if you reach out to them what commissioner would be a good person for you to be talking to and expressing your opinions on these and the opinions of your GAD and your local organization of realtors in your local area. Next slide, please. So another policy position that the Smart Coast California Board is taking up is the concept of tiered responses. A tiered response is something which is beginning to be reflected in the local coastal programs, which is something some of the concerned counties and cities are putting forward. Basically, let's find out if sea level rise actually happens, which is very logical. So if the sea level rise happens to a certain level, 2 feet, 3 feet, or the very bad case scenario, 6 feet, then certain things kick into effect. However, what has been reflected in the draft LCPAs that we've been seeing for tiered responses, should that sea level rise happen, bang, manage retreat. Next slide, please. At Smart Coast California, we're looking at something a little bit different. There are certain places, rural sections of the coastline, where managed retreat makes perfect planning sense. We get that. However, in many of our coastal communities, there's literally no place to retreat to. And if there was to be managed retreat, we would be gutting entire communities. And so what Smart Coast is working on right now is on the tiered response approach, as opposed to just having a blanket managed retreat when you reach a certain level of sea level rise. We need to look at other options to protect some of these coastal communities: beach nourishment, kelp forests, offshore reefs, groins, and submerged breakwaters, and yes, community seawalls if necessary, to protect some of these critical areas for our coastal communities. So the tiered response should not be simply managed retreat. We should be looking and baking into the cake on these local coastal programs some of these options when we have the tiered response to certain levels of sea level rise. Next slide, please. So there's a couple upcoming meetings pretty close around the corner. This will be something that I see several people asking if these slides can be sent out. They will be sent out. These dates will be, I believe, posted on our webpage. We're here to assist and to help in regards to getting that public comment in. We think it's absolutely essential that we're all working hand in hand with the local realtors and the GADs and the Association of Realtors to see if we can get some of these changes implemented. And we will be doing analysis as necessary on the local coastal program amendments and giving talking points so that we can make it as easy as possible. One of the things that made a big difference on Half Moon Bay was there was a lot of letters that were written. There was, in a very exciting way, there were letters written from people up and down the state and even other organizations and municipalities expressing their concern over some of the aspects of Half Moon Bay. We feel like we're getting momentum and people are really starting to notice the work that is being done by Smart Coast. Next slide. So with that, I will go ahead and I'll wrap it up. I'm available for any questions that you may have. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, the same. Does anybody have any questions for Don that you can post there in the chat? As you see, a lot of work. The slides will come out because that's just good information to have to be able to look at that and follow it. Don't miss that part about that being pulled out that date, because that's huge, even though it will circle back. But the point that they actually pulled it out of there, and Don and I were on there testifying, as well as a whole lot of people on different sides of it, but pulling it out and actually getting their plan certified without that in there is huge. And so, you know how the game goes. You open the door a little bit. I don't know. We're all putting on 12-foot shoes and sticking them in there. We'll hold the door open any kind of way we can. But it takes a lot to do it. Do I see anybody with any questions? Am I missing anything, Marta? You see any?
Steve Hanley has his hand up.
Hey, Steve.
Thank you. I promise not to be adversarial on this question, okay? Don, thank you for your presentation because it brings home something that we're doing in Monterey. I happen to own a couple of units right on the beach in a place called La Playa condos that are literally at 2 and 3 feet of sea level. And the city council has just approved a transportation plan. They haven't accepted it, but approved it for review. It incorporates changing the transportation corridor for the main part of downtown Monterey, because they're expecting sea level rise to have a huge impact on the core area of Monterey. We've put together a little group called Shore Up Monterey that incorporates, at this point, 60 homeowners in a homeowners association that will be hugely impacted. And what we're trying to do is to put a core group of property owners together to support Smart Coast. And Marta, I know one of our guys has been in contact with you, and his eyes opened up when he saw what you guys were doing, which was really fortunate. I'd like to really recommend if there's a way for Smart Coast to reach out to coastal homeowner associations to get them to be maybe enter the core leadership or at least help fund Smart Coast and get involved, at the core level in letters of support and so forth for what you guys are doing. We have already met with the mayor and the city manager of Monterey, incorporating exactly what you just outlined, Don, as far as groins and different alternatives to manage retreat, and gotten support. The city manager of Monterey comes from Germany and was raised in an area that has already employed these kind of techniques because he grew up 300 yards from the ocean. And I would say reach out to him for ideas and maybe look at that as a resource to gain strength from a core municipality on the coastline that depends on, on the Monterey Bay for its tourism industry and so forth. We're even talking about a third pier that used to exist in Monterey as a resource for keeping it being a window on the bay and so forth. So that becomes a possible ally for Smart Coast to grow in size and then raise money and enlist the aid of PLF, if not CAR, in pushing back against the Coastal Commission. Thanks.
See there, Steve. Thank you. Great minds think alike. We are, and I think you'll hear some of that coming up, but some of those ideas, I think our communications department is starting to work on that, or committee, starting to work on some of that when it deals with the associations up and down the coast, the homeowners associations. And so we'll see some of that stuff. Keep doing what you do. Never adversarial. It is not. We know that you just have a great concern. You have a passion for what you do. And that's what it brings about. You just put it out, you make it plain, and I can appreciate plain. That's me. Katie, question? Can we unmute Katie? Katie Beacock.
There we go. Thank you very much. Steve said some of what I was going to say, but I wanted to just tell you all that I think you're doing great work. I see some wonderful progress, and I do feel getting some of the larger homeowner associations along the coastal area will give us a big boost. And I'm wondering what sources I can point some of the local Marin and Sonoma County HOAs, some of the bigger groups like Sea Ranch, etc. Do I point them to your website? What's the best way to get them there? Because some of them have been fighting for a long, long time, pretty actively with the Coastal Commission, and could be great, great partners of ours or whatever. But I'm so delighted to see the progress. So thank you all.
Thank you with that. Well, Krista put in the website in the chat, but you'll also see a slide coming up at the end that will have that contact information as well, okay? We definitely look forward to hearing from them. Mitchell.
Yes, good morning. First of all, I want to thank Smart Coast California for representing all of us, even the little tiny cities. I'm a citizen and a resident property owner in Imperial Beach, California. I don't know if anybody knows where that's at. We're the most southwesterly city. Yeah, we're the most southwesterly city in the continental United States is our kind of claim to fame. And we appreciate all your support. Just a little backstory, our little town of about 27,000, we've been struggling for a couple years now with an LCP. We sort of, depending on how you look at it, the California Coastal Commission gave our town a $225,000 grant to update our LCP. Unfortunately, there was strings attached to that grant. At the 11th hour, our LCP was sort of kicked to the side by the California Coastal Commission. They sent us a 22-page detailed list of changes they wanted to our LCP. The most inflammatory was the inclusion of managed retreat, which our town had several meetings and we were adamantly opposed to that. So we appreciate your fight on our behalf. Even though I think I saw on the chart that was just presented that we're a priority 2 city. To us, obviously, we're priority 1. But we are looking forward to your leadership, and we are taking, as a group, I actually represent a group called Citizens for Coastal Conservancy. We're a local nonprofit 501c3 that's pushing for many of the same goals that your group is pursuing. And again, we just thank you for your leadership, and we continue to look forward to progress to allow us to protect and use coastal armoring where it's appropriate, and not let people's homes be reclaimed by the sea. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mitchell. Mitchell, can you make sure I get your phone number? I'm right here in San Diego.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can. I've
San
provided
Diego native.
my email to Kirsten, so I can also get you my phone number.
Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Robin? We'll wrap up with Robin.
Hello. I'm sort of coming into this informationally, at least at the tail end. It feels like I'm sort of just trying to get myself caught up, but I am at the other end of the state. I am about 15 minutes from the Oregon border in Del Norte County, a little town called Crescent City, and we're similar in size. Crescent City is a hub city for the county, and we're in the neighborhood of around 28,000 people. I had been sort of cramming and trying to get information caught up. I was pretty shocked at what was going on. One of the things, I had a conversation with one of our county supervisors here who seemed to know a little bit about what was going on. And she said that none of this affected us because our sea level was actually going to be declining instead of rising. Clearly, you know, whatever the Coastal Commission does will not be a per county, and regardless of our sea level, you know, we will be affected by whatever they decide. So my question was for Dawn, is that indeed true? Are there areas where the sea level is declining rather than rising? And can you just confirm that we will be affected as the state as a whole, regardless of whatever our LCPA says, you know, as a county?
Well, Robin, thank you for your question. What's happening up in your neck of the woods, 1,100 miles of coastline from the Mexican border to the Oregon border. Yeah, we've got some things that we're taking care of here. But it's not that the sea level, according to the best available science, it's not that the sea level rise isn't happening, it's that the land's rising. And so there's some USGS maps, which Smart Coast is trying to disseminate, make sure it's part of the conversation. You have portions of the coastline where there is subsidence, some due to natural features, others from petrochemical extraction like Long Beach, etc. And there's other places where there's tectonic uplift. And what you have up in the Big Sur area and up in the North Coast where you're located, there's tectonic uplift, and some scientists speculate that the Earth is going to be pushed up faster than the sea levels will rise. However, what I would point out to you is, for instance, in just to the south of you, in Humboldt Bay, Arcata, Eureka, that the Coastal Commission is pushing along, actually, and Caltrans is being pushed by the governor to completely either relocate or convert Highway 101 into a causeway at great taxpayer expense. And all that agricultural land inland from Highway 101 is to be allowed to let go into essentially a bay. Now, you're in the same tectonic uplift area, and the both the taxpayers and the regulatory updates up to the local coastal programs are all anticipating significant sea level rise. So there's a bunch of debates, scientific and policy wise, on all these local coastal program amendments. You're not going to get any sort of free pass up there in Crescent City. I would suspect. I do know that you've got some really excellent people on the local level politically, and I think Smart Coast would be very happy to assist in coming up with a local coastal program that takes into account all of the science, not just the ones that support, not just the science which supports people's aspirations for enormous managed retreat, but also takes into account the geologic considerations which are clearly in play up in your area. All
right. Well, thank you for that, Don. Always precise, always good information. Remember, the slides will come out. And if you still have any further questions that you think about before we get off of here, whether it's to Don or Yelly, or even just Smart Coast itself, put it in the chat because they will be able to pull the chat and try to address those questions later on. All right, moving forward. I think we have, what was our slide from, our trusted treasurer, Matt, who is not here with us today. So I'll just give a couple of comments on this particular slide. I know that it shows that the amount that we've received for 2021, 33, that's the 33,000 you see there. Amazingly, since January for 2021, we are up about 20% in our received contributions. So that's a good number to see coming in early, although we still have some outstanding numbers there. Most of you know that we are made up of associations up and down the coast, realtor associations. They are working on some things that will bring in different homeowners and HOAs and things of that nature. So you'll see that coming forward. But right now, I know we still have some outstanding invoices to associations. If your association has not yet did their contribution, you might go pull on their coat if you know the right person, right? You can see the work that happens. It doesn't happen for free. I think Morro Bay probably was anywhere 10 to maybe 10, 12 grand or something to get in that fight and kind of help out in that. So we really need to make sure that we get those pieces in. Some people may have some confusions in their associations. So if you have communication, you can let them know that the 2020 invoices went out late. So they may be seeing a 2020 and a 2021 and not sure which one. But if anybody's not sure, just give us a call and they'll definitely catch you up to speed and make sure we can make it work for everybody. But we want to be able to stay in the fight and get out there. So everybody, let's get that to 100%, right? That's what it takes to do what you got to do. The impact that's out there that we've had, you can see that Don talked about these different things. There's the Morro Bay sample that they talked about, Half Moon Bay. This is what it does. This is what the donations do, so that we can have a seat at the table and not be on the menu, right? And it looks like most of the time we've been on the menu, but we're trying to make sure we push them plates back, push them back little by little. And you guys know how it takes. This is real estate and politics at the end of the day. It is just the same that they do, is cracking that door open little by little. So the fight is not easy. It takes a lot, and there's a lot of hours being spent in the back. I can't tell you how much our GADs put into this. They are amazing. They didn't pay me to say that, but they are absolutely amazing. But if you look at that, when you do the analysis, the coordination with the local ARs, going to the city councils, drafting letters and getting with the planning commissions, all of those things that happen in that, testifying at the Coastal Commission, it takes time and it definitely takes dollars. So please, if you know any of those people who have invoices or any people who want to contribute, yeah, there it is. We need your help, right? Help that we have responding to our calls when we ask people for call to action. We were really, really pleased on this last one in the call for action. And so if you have not yet signed up on our website, which is smartcoastca.org, please do so that you'll get the mailings. You will get those things that will let you know when we're out there and when we need some response. Right now, it's particularly honing in on the specific location, but we are thinking that later on we'll see where that comes to a bigger circle than that. So make sure you guys sign up for that. One sound, one band, right? One band, one sound, and that's what our premise is throughout the coast. If your AORs have not taken positions yet, this is one of the greatest things they can do. I think Yelly talked about this. It helps us to move a lot easier and quick and nimble and getting things to happen. And it does that on their sides as well. Because, you know, AORs, you got to deal with the board, you got to get the position in place. So we already have positions that we have taken, and they're posted on our website as well when they deal with managed retreat, existing development, the takings, and the tiered responses. If you could get your boards, your AORs, to look at those positions that we've taken already and align themselves with them and formulate something already and have that on their side where they've already taken a position on it. It helps when these things come down. Sometimes they come really quick. We don't always get like a really big notice to be able to do something. And that way your board, your executive, or whoever it is can respond with a letter or call to action because they already have a vetted and approved position on file at their association. I know ours does it. So that way our GAD, he already knows. He simply has to go look, okay, this is something the board already approved, so I can appropriately respond. So if your
Carla?
board has not that,
Carly, you have a couple of comments here. I just want, before you skip the slide.
Okay, yeah, I see 3 hands up as well.
I believe Otto's first.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so make sure they do that. Let's go ahead with Otto.
Okay.
President-elect, how are you?
Good morning, everyone. I just want to, just real briefly, I want to compliment and commend this group. I started, I kind of tagged along and saw what you guys were doing a couple years ago. And I have personally made a commitment to, I've attended a couple coastal commission meetings. I was down at Pismo for a couple days last year, attending one. I was in Half Moon Bay. I've had a couple of meetings. I had lunch with Don. You guys are real fortunate having Don as a consultant. I'm constantly communicating with Marta and Krista whenever I'm up at 4:35 in the morning, and whenever I see anything that has sea level rise or coastal whatever, I do forward that on to them. And I'm also proud that my son is in his first year of law school. He's an environmental attorney that specializes, or that wants to specialize in water litigation. So hopefully he can get going pretty soon, and maybe we can put him on a payroll. But I just want to say thank you for all that you guys are doing. I know there's challenges out there. This is one segment of just a whole bucket of different challenges that we're facing at the state level. So please don't give up, keep fighting the fight. And if there's anything that I can do with the association, with leadership, please let me know. That's all I want to say. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, very much appreciated. I got Steve, and Steve, then get me quickly over to Romeo.
Am I unmuted?
Now you are.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I want to thank you guys. Where are we on allowing homeowners associations to get involved here? I've got 4 guys that are really, really on top of this. 2 of them happen to be owners in the Central Valley, and they didn't have a clue as to what's going on with the Coastal Commission. And in doing some investigations, I noticed that, for one thing, other than Sacramento, the Coastal Commission has never even met in the Central Valley. And the media in the Central Valley gives it no coverage. 50% or so of our owners in our homeowners association live in the Central Valley, and their second homes are on the coast. They have no clue as to what's going on with the invasion of their property rights. Yeah. So I'm wondering how we get the message to them. And is there a way to get the Coastal Commission to start, being a little bit more transparent and having their meetings in places where owners actually own the properties that they're trying to invade? If we have any kind of way of getting them to meet in Fresno or Bakersfield or some places, Visalia, we have 14 properties owned by people in Visalia that never ever get information. If we can sway that would be great.
Thank you, Steve. I can tell you, like I mentioned earlier, they meaning Spark Coast, our communications committee is working on that. They are at the top of the list, HOAs. And so if you reach out to Krista and Marta and get that information for those HOAs that you were talking about, they're literally are working on different collateral and things that we can provide to them to demonstrate the value and actually graft them into joining us in a partnership. So that is a high priority, and it is already in the works. If you have some other suggestions, you can submit that to them as well. And we'll definitely take a look at it, but definitely get them the name of those HOAs, because you're right, it's a very important piece, that can help us in that fight. And a lot of them do not know exactly what's happening. So we appreciate that, Steve. Thank you.
And I
Romeo?
believe Dawn may have a response to the Coastal Commission meetings inland.
Don? You got something she said on the Coastal Commission inland? Oh, he's muted.
There
That's
we
the
go.
famous words.
Marta and Chris are running a tight ship. So, in regards to inland meetings, yes, that's an interesting concept. However, it does not really happen. But Steve is raising a topic which is in actuality hugely important for all the realtor community and Smart Coast California and the coastal communities. What a lot of folks aren't necessarily cognizant of is the fact that the legislature amended the Coastal Act for environmental justice provisions. And this is something that is part of all of the deliberations on many things, especially as pertains to sea level rise. And the Coastal Commission is required by law to take into account what the regulations impacts will be on the beach going public coming from inland areas, the Inland Empire in Southern California, the San Joaquin Valley, et cetera, et cetera. That is also segues to a very important potential group of allies for us. There's a lot of folks within the real estate community in those areas with a very large population. So it would be bad for us, and it's kind of gone this way, if this is characterized as a fight between a very, very narrow strip of affluent property owners along the coastline and everybody else. And so one of the things I think that Smart Coast in all its natural allies out there would be very wise to take a hard look at is how we broaden our reach and our messaging to get those supporters in the inland communities.
All right, great, John. Romeo?
Yes, thank you. Can everyone hear me? Okay, good. I just wanted to make the comment of having gone through the experience of sort of responding to the call for action. I would certainly support any improvement in our sort of asking for help, asking for comments. We at my association, the Marin Realtors, we're glad to support everyone in the way that I see this working. Is I'm glad to respond and send a letter and comment to the meetings in your areas, because at some point we will have a meeting in our area and we all need to help each other and comment out. My only comment would be if we can sort of formalize that process or maybe improve the way that looks. But happy to help in any way, but just wanted to say we were thankful to be asked to help. Thankful to participate, and hopefully other groups and associations feel the same way.
All right. And I think they definitely hear you on that. Take notes. Katie, are you raising your hand? Oh, okay. I thought I saw it. Well, with that being said, if you give me to my next slide, it tells you people wanted to know, how they can be involved. We do have a couple of things. As you know, we do have a board of directors and we do have some special committees that come up. So our 2022 board of directors, we're looking for some recommendations on that, or if it's yourself, you can email us. You can scan this QR code that's sitting there right now, get your phone out, take a picture, scan it, get the information over to us. We'd love to see some new bodies, some new faces, new ideas, and any of those who have some specialties, whatever it is that you think you can contribute. You can also connect with us. There's the QR code again with underneath it in text for those of us who need the word. It is written there where you can reach us on the website, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. So take pictures of those, get that. Any of the comments as well that you thought may have not gotten here, reach out to us. And again, sign up on our website so that you can get those notices. You can get the newsletters, and anybody that you just want to point to the information, just point them to that website. Or again, if you grab this QR code and save it even, you know, you can send that to somebody and they can click from there. Absolutely, this is one of the best committees, groups, or what have you there is right now. When you get that feeling, it's, I call it sort of like, simply gonna say C, kind of like eating crab. You do so much of the hard work. And by the time you get that little piece out, it's like, wow, so satisfying. So yeah, that's your loony president, right? But it's like that. It's such a hard fight. And just those little bitty pieces we can get really means so much to a lot of people out there who, one, don't know, and without different groups or people supporting them and fighting on their behalves, would just be in a completely different notion of what would happen to them. Who knows what that would look like. So take all the notes down, send us your comments, all that good stuff. We appreciate you guys getting up early on a Monday morning and joining us here again. And don't forget that they will send these slides out to you. With that being said, we will be adjourning this meeting. Thank you guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks, everyone.
Okie doke, team. I'll see you.
Thanks, Carla.
Anything you folks want to go over right quick while we're all here?
Sure, let's just kind of empty out the room a little bit and then